Hey, what's happening, CSTers? Hope everybody had a wonderful, safe Labor Day weekend. Glad you're with us. I'm Nick Stribling here for the big show on Monday night. FC Cincinnati falls over the weekend to the Columbus Crew in Hell is Real 3-0. We'll be talking about that match a little bit later on in the show. Coming up in just a few moments, we'll be joined by FC Cincinnati General Manager Gerard Nijkamp to get his thoughts on the club as a whole and how he feels he's done so far as the general manager of FC Cincinnati. And of course, we're going to be monitoring the chat tonight. We're live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So make sure you get your questions and comments in. And of course, if you're listening after the fact, you can always email us feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Let's welcome in my cast of characters for this week. I will start with the one and only Brian Weigle. Brian, how you been, bud? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, not too bad. Got to watch my favorite club out on my patio for the first time, so I was pretty excited to enjoy that match, or at least the first half of that match. But it was great to be outside cheering them on, and can't wait to get to Nippert to cheer against some teams. Hopefully, Columbus gets to come down here, so we'll see.
I'm glad to have you back on the show. Looking forward to getting your take on all things FCC. Of course, we welcome back into the show the Professor Jeff Wallner. Jeff, how are you?
Good, Nick. It's good to be back. Hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. I guess it's not quite over yet, but great way to finish the Labor Day weekend being here with you guys.
That's right. We save the best for last, don't we, Jeff?
That's right.
And last but not least, we welcome in the pro, the one and only Michael LaHoo. Michael, hope you enjoyed the nice warm weather down there in sunny Texas.
Yes, I am. It is the coldest day of the year, like I was saying earlier, 92. So I got to put on my sweatsuit. But it's always good to be on, and happy Labor Day to everyone all across the globe, FCC fans.
Yes, and looking forward to getting your thoughts, because I'm sure Michael's got some thoughts on what occurred over the weekend. But before we can get to the weekend, we are really pleased to be joined by FC Cincinnati General Manager Gerard Nijkamp. Gerard, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are you? Did you have a good weekend?
No, my weekend was not so good, if you see the result of yesterday, of course. But it is always good that we see each other the day after. So that was this morning. So we saw the team and the staff, and then you can talk about it and take the learnings out of it, and go ahead for next game Saturday against New York.
Well, we're really pleased to have you on the show, Gerard. First question I've got right out of the gate is you've been on the job for a little over a year now. How would you assess, the role as a whole? How do you feel you've done here in this short amount of time period?
Yeah, I can only say what my expectations were and my execution so far. Of course, other people, included fans of the club, have to give me the marks. How you say that, in the way how they adjust me in what I'm doing so far. Overall, I think we are still on the good track. In the process, we know it is a long way to go to create a club who is sustainable and to go for their goals when we are in a new stadium. We want to compete this season, hopefully with reaching playoffs. It's still possible. After yesterday, we feel disappointment, but I think that's also a good thing because we are competing. First half against Columbus in the building up positional game, coming into the final third with a few opportunities, but we want to do that more. And in the second half, it was not good, not what we could expect it from the team if we face the other games. But as a whole, we are working close together in MHCC. I think with Jaap, we have the right head coach on board. Is working in a very good way with the team and with his coaching staff on a higher professional level. We know that we have to perform and that we have to improve. but that is also part of the process. And let's see where we are at the end of the season. Another 13 matches to go, one in this first round. Hopefully, in the next couple of days, the schedule of the second round is released by the league. Another 12 games, and step by step, with some hurdles, with ups and also downs, we will see where we are at the end of the season.
When you came over from the Netherlands, Major League Soccer has we'll call it an odd set of rules in regards to how you build a roster. How difficult was it for you to get acclimated to how things are done here in Major League Soccer?
Yeah, there's a question I get a lot from media, and I was also expected that I get this question this evening. And I'm happy with the question, because if you build a roster in Europe or here in the MLS in the US, there are some more restrictions and some more rules. What gives some more challenge for getting the roster in place. But overall, you do your job in a team. At the end of the day, on the technical side, I make the decisions with support of Jeff Birding, of course, and ownership, Carl Lindner III. But on the technical side, we are working in a team, and I have very good people around me who inform me and give me scenarios, what could work and what is in the best interest to getting a roster in place. Allocation spots, salary cap, DPs, all these kind of things, what is in the roster, what we have to build in the roster as rules. We have to adjust and to create as best roster as we can. And I mentioned a lot of time Hunter Freeman, my director of scouting recruitment, is very important. Big experience in the league as a player, and also the understanding with the rules. Alexander Scram, I bring him from the Netherlands, but also good knowledge and understanding about the rules. And also Michael Goldman, who give us from legal point of view some information. So from there on, I have a good team around me, and step by step, I get also a very, very good understanding about how it works in MLS.
We are a very listener-driven show, and a lot of our listeners want to know how you are creating, our soccer ecosystem here at FC Cincinnati. This question is from Nick Elder on Twitter. Why do you think the Dutch model will have success in Major League Soccer and the American soccer landscape? Why not other tactical systems?
I don't know if that is a Dutch approach in the way how we want to build the soccer ecosystem in Cincinnati. It's an approach, because I was not only working in the Netherlands, I was working abroad in a lot of countries, also in South America and in Asia. So I bring from all these countries ideas and also build my philosophy in the way I think how you have to build a club. And of course, with respect of the country where I'm working now, with the specifics the MLS gives in the way of profiles for our players. What are the needs and what are the wishes in physical, but also in tactical. So it is not a Dutch approach. If you think the 1-4-3-3, it's really Dutch. Now, look also to other countries in Europe, but also I think Argentina plays a long time 1-4-3-3. But it is about principles in the way how we want to play when we have the ball and when we don't have the ball. And believe me, Jaap and the coaching staff is working daily to get close as possible to to suit with these principles in the way how we want to be and how our fans must see us when we're playing or in Nippert or on the road. At this moment, we take maybe a little bit a sideway because we want to have also the confidence to build confidence for our projects and for our players who has to execute. So we see it more as we want to create more a stable approach in organization, like giving the ball a little bit more to our opponents from a compact defensive organization and from transition to go up. But still, and also I have to explain the way we want to play yesterday. And if you saw the first half, in the building up from the back, we try to find the midfielders. We want to go through the midfield, going up and be dangerous in the final third. Yesterday, 2-3 times we came there on the right side, especially Joe Gao was very dangerous. Together with Rakatan, there was some opportunities over there. But in the second half, we were not there to keep the level up and to make it difficult for Columbus.
And Gerard, you have a past working relationship with Jaap Stam. How is it working with Jaap again, and how would you assess the job that he's done so far in the early stages of his tenure here?
I know Jaap as a high professional person. He showed that as a player in the past, to play on the highest level and to win big cups on club level, but also national level. And I was working 6 months with him in PEC Zwolle at that time. And what he did as a player, he showed also every day as a coach. I think step by step we see every time a little bit more of the way Jaap is working and what he wants from his team on the pitch. But having said that, he's also very committed on the project on the long term. And that is what I'm looking at for people around me. I don't want to have people who only focus on the results for today, but also see the future of a club and give their insights and their expertise and their comments in the way how they think how to come there. And we're going every day through the roster, who is good, who we have maybe to change for the better case, and that's to perform better in the future, and that starts next Saturday in New York. So high performer as a person and as a coach, and we just started, and not only myself, but also the people who now just for the first time working with him are very positive in his approach and the way how he is working together with his team.
Obviously, this is a long-term project, as you said, and there's a lot of work still left to be done. But when you consider where this club was last year defensively, an MLS record 75 goals allowed, to have 5 clean sheets in 8 matches already, are you surprised at all at the impact that Jaap's been able to have in such a short period of time to at least kind of stabilize that area of the game?
Yeah, you want to work on all different needs, defensively, offensively. set pieces, the mental part of development. But you have to start if you build a house with the foundation. And Jaap was coming in the club, and we talk about it also when we were working at home, of course, and I was in the Netherlands. We talk a lot about the way how to start, and we know our goal at the end. So how we want to build the roof of that house, but the foundation means to keep the zero behind. I said always. So work on the clean sheet, and from there on get confidence. But from confidence, you must also to do something up front, and that's at this moment a little bit for Jaap and for myself, where we have to work hard on, and a little bit disappointment on it, because if we can also score a goal, so that gives also space to breathe for our defenders and the people who are really focused on that part, and of course our goalkeeper Titi. Because it is not possible every time to keep the zero behind. You will concede goals. So that is also nice that we can score easier goals and to create more opportunities that we are doing right now. But we are working quite hard on that.
Gerard, Michael Lahoud here. I have a couple questions for you. FC Cincinnati has been quite busy in this transfer window, and there's been 2 new acquisitions that have come in that everyone's excited about. What can you tell us about the 2 newest players and members of the club?
Yeah, before I go more in depth on these 2 players, good question. Because to work on the process, to get every time a better roster, that is not possible to do that in one window. There are 2 windows in the season, in winter and in summer. This summer is a little bit different because it's not for 1 month, but I think more than 2 months, 2.5 months. So that means it gives us more opportunities to go every time to judge players with all respect in the way if they are still part of how we are thinking, in the way what is our bar, what is our standard for to perform how we want to perform. So having said that, by evaluation made in Orlando, together with Jaap and Hunter and myself, of course, we said, hey, we need an acquisition in every line, so offensive, defensive, and in the midfield. So for now, we succeed by signing Kamil Mokocho in the midfield. We create a space to give Fatai the opportunity to go to a winning team at this moment, Columbus. And he was playing yesterday, so that's good for him. That was not possible in our club, so that's for him also a positive next step. So we helped him with that, and it created for us a roster spots. And with Kamil Mokocho, we get a player who can give us more balance in the midfield, controlling the ball, coming from defense to offense in the passing and passing through the lines, and also in the way reading the game, not only when we have the ball, but also when the opponent has the ball. He can play on a very high level and can bring a lot for us. Alvaro Barrial, that's the acquisition for up front. I spoke sometimes with the media about we need pace. Kakuda was a player with pace. Joe Gao is a player with pace, but we need also pace not only without ball but also with the ball. So Alvaro Barrial can play from the right wing side, from the left wing side. He can be even playing in the way we play now as a second striker together with Jurgen Lucadia. So he gives us more opportunities up front. The only position and what we like to add to our roster by the evaluation in Orlando. That is for our back four or back five, how you want to see it now. If we get an opportunity to improve with a player from abroad or maybe domestic, we are looking for that too. But then we know there is a roster spot, but not an international spot. We need some space in our budget. We have to create it. So every time we have to be very creative. But we are not laying on our couch for the next month, because the beginning of October is closing the window. If there is a possibility coming, maybe we can do something with our allocation spots. And maybe we can add also a defensive player.
So the midfield seems pretty full at this moment. Do you expect any of those players, as you said, you need to get creative, to be moved this window, as well as do you have any information on if a green card has become available for any of our players?
Now, to sign Alvaro Barrial, we need a green card for one of our players, or you have to buy an international spot from another club in the MLS. I gave a little bit insight already last week that one player of the roster is very close to getting his green card. So that is also enough coverage. Do I say that well? Coverage for the MLS, so we could sign Alvaro Barrial. On the other positions in the midfield, yes, we play another 30 matches till November 7th without any weekend off. That means we play most of the weekends and every midweek. So we need a lot of players and also depth in our roster. So I think for the next 30 matches, we need all the players we have now in the roster. So if there is a little bit more midfielders, I agree on that, but I think we need them all till the end of the season.
Gerard, this question is always easier to ask than it ever is to answer. But what is your vision for this year? If you ideally, realistically, what is your vision of how you would like to continue to move forward with where the club is at and where the team is at, and where would you like to end up? You know, and from a realistic standpoint, and based on all the work you're doing in your position to make the club and team better.
Yeah, I think this is a very good question, and also a very difficult one to answer. We are working every day very hard together to be consistent in everything what we are doing. Starting on the top, that's our first team, but also in our youth academy. We add in the youth academy as a starting team the under 13s and under 14s, and we add an under 19s to close the gap from youth to the first team. And every day, everyone who's involved at the youth section is working hard to get our first homegrown player in the first team. So see if there is an opportunity to get our second team in place in 21 or our under 23s. It's important for development of the club. So to close the gap again between youth and the first team, and to give players who we have to loan now, for instance, Tommy McCabe, Ray Ortiz, that kind of players, Ben Loons, to keep in our club and to see them every day in trainings practice, but can play matches in our second team or under 23. So we're working every day to be more consistent. On the first team, we have the short term and we have the long term. Short term means as much games win as possible, because that gives confidence for everyone that we have the feeling we are on a good track. I told already there are hurdles and there are positives, but there are also negatives. Against Chicago, last game at home in Nippert, we were feeling we are coming close to the 3 points. We're playing, I think, the best game this season in the way how we want to play, not only being compact and waiting on a mistake of our opponent, but be also dominant in positional game and creating chances. Yes, we didn't score the goal, but we had a clean sheet again. And we want to do that more. First half, what I said also, Columbus was quite okay. Maybe we have to create more chances. We have to go easier through the midfield to come quicker and to produce opportunities for Jurgen and Rakuten and for the both sides. But we want to be also consistent on that part. And if we are at the end of the season show progress, be every game competitive, then we have also a chance. I don't want to say a good chance or a small chance, but we have a chance to be in the playoffs. And that is something I want to. I address it every day in the club because we want to put the bar high, and that's also what Jaap is doing, of course. But I believe also in it. And especially when you see where we are coming from last season, we go through a few windows, we improve the team, we show progress, we show that we are becoming better. Yes, we have also our faults, but step by step, we see players coming on the level what we want, and still we are not there. But at the end of the season, if we can be consistent in our performance, then we will also reach playoffs.
In the offseason, Gerard, you brought in designated players Jurgen Locadia and Yuya Kubo. Obviously, 2020 is not your typical year. So I would say neither one of these players have really gotten off the mark well this season. What are your expectations for these designated players as they finish up the 2020 season?
Yeah, of course, I was also expecting, and the players, of course, also they want to show more because they can show more because they did it also in the past in their former clubs. Don't forget, Jurgen is coming from a situation he was in Hoffenheim on the bench. He gets some play time, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Sometimes less, and then you are coming to our club and you have to play 90 minutes. And after 2 games, we had our lockdown. So 4 or 5 months, no games. And then in Orlando, injury. No games. In the end, he played some minutes in Portland. So for Jurgen, he is still working to become fit. And fitter, and believe me, in the way I know him from the past, he becomes fitter. But he needs also the team who produce good opportunities for him, and then he will score the goals what we are needed. But that takes also time. So that's also the reason Jaap don't take him off. He let him stay 90 minutes, get your experience, work on your fitness. And work as hard as possible for the team, and try to be, in the execution part in the final third, try to score your goals. He's working hard in training sessions to get that feeling back. But I just want to say, we must also have the understanding where he is coming from, and that is especially in this year very challenging for everyone, but also for players who didn't play so much before. Yuya Kubo is coming from a little bit different situation. Was also not playing anymore in Ghent, but he played 2 matches before the lockdown, Red Bull and Atlanta. With Yuya, Japanese background, Japanese culture, very structured in everything what he is doing. he needs also the team around him, and he knows also that he have to do some things better. Hopefully, we can bring him also a little bit closer to Jurgen sometimes, so that we're not playing too far away to the goal of the opponent, because then he's coming in his strength. But also for Yuya, I'm convinced that he will perform better in the next couple of weeks.
You're muted, Brian. We can't hear you. You're muted. There you go.
Do we have any expectations on when Mokocho or Barrio will make it into the States?
Yes. For Mokocho, he is still waiting for his to receive his passport. So he had his appointment last week. So that means that takes 3 till 5 days, office days, to get his passport back. So if we count the days, appointment was Thursday. In a positive way, it will be Tuesday. In a negative way, it is the 5 days is Thursday. But I can say before the weekend, Camogelo Mokocho will be in Cincinnati, and then he can start his quarantine for 10 days. But he can also start his individual trainings program. Away from the first team, of course. Alvaro Barrial is still working on the paperwork by immigration, and scheduled his appointment in Buenos Aires. We hope this week he will have his appointment. Will be more in the end of this week. So if you count another 5 days, 6 days, he will be. Yeah, what can I say? 18, 19 of September, hopefully. He will get his passport back and then coming back. For Alvaro, he was just in training with Vélez, so his fitness is just a little bit lower than the team now. But I think he can come quick in the team sessions. But for Camo, it's more challenging because he's coming from the off season. He was sometimes out in Brentford. So we have to see and to adjust where he is at that moment when he's coming in.
Well, Gerard, we appreciate you being on the show. I got to ask, obviously, the social media joke every time FC Cincinnati signs a player is that, oh, he's Dutch. It's kind of a running theme. But then you bring in Barrial, who's not.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, obviously, with the international breaking going on right now, have you had a chance to watch the Netherlands play this weekend?
Do we have to talk about it? Come on, guys. Give me a little bit this weekend.
At least your country gets to play. I don't even know when the U.S. are going to play again.
No, we played Thursday against the country of Titon. So he has to congratulate me for the win. It was a 1-0 win. And today we were losing from a very good team and surprising team, Italy, who was not playing Catenaccio, but offensive Dutch soccer. And they beat us at home, so that hurts a lot. But a nice story about it, the assistant coach from Roland Koeman, who's now the interim head coach, it feels he was my teacher when I start my coaching career. He was bringing me as an assistant coach, so it feels a little bit more hurt because I know the person quite well, Dwight Lodeweges, and I know how he's feeling when he is losing, and that's hurt more.
I noticed behind you've got the 2 clocks with the 2 time zones. Is that to help you out there so that way you know what time it is over there?
Yeah, that's something my wife put on the wall. She's not with me here, but every time when we have contact with each other, because she's in France at this moment, then I know when I can call her, or I have her to keep her because she's sleeping.
Very cool. Well, Gerard, we know you're a busy man. We really appreciate you being on the show. I'm sorry it took so long to get you on the show, but we're really thankful for your time, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's FC Cincinnati General Manager Gerard Nijkamp joining us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. What a treat it was to have him join us here on the show. All right, it's that time of the show where we give a big shout out and thanks to our tremendous supporters. So let's give it up for Tim Bronsel, Tom Rose, Matt Adamczyk, Mike Hudson, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Coling, Tara Mullins, Riley Stephen Burke, and Melissa Mingle. Thank you so much for supporting us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. To learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. All right. Well, it was an absolute pleasure to speak with Gerard Nijkamp. We've gone about 36 minutes now, and I think it's finally time we dive in to Hell is Real. Ugh. That did not go as planned this weekend in Columbus. For those FC Cincinnati fans who had the pleasure of making the trip and actually attending the match in person, I'm sorry you had to see that. But we always give our best and worst. And usually I go with Michael last. So I'm going to start with him first this week. Michael, what was your best and worst from this weekend?
My best was the ref blowing the final whistle. Yeah, it was painful, and I actually say that lightly compared to, I'm sure, how it feels or felt in the moment for everyone watching it. And as a player, it's such a hard thing to take when you're looking forward to turning things around and you feel like you were just there not too long ago against Chicago. Worse, seeing the look of satisfaction on Caleb Porter's face.
Yeah.
There's something smug about that. And I will just leave it at that before we break it down deeper.
Okay. How about you, Professor Jeff Wallner? Your best and worst?
Difficult to find a best. But if I need to find one, it would be Joe Zhao, who, again, in various moments of the match is one of the best players on the field. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a whole lot of support around him. But yeah, not much to look for as far as the best. There weren't many positives on the pitch. In terms of my worst, I think everyone can agree that watched the match that the body language after they conceded the first goal, and unfortunately we've seen this before from this club. We saw it a lot last year, and this is a mindset that Jaap Stam is going to have to change. And I'm confident that he can make some inroads there with the current roster, but maybe that mindset changes as new players come in. But everyone saw the body language. It was somewhat embarrassing to see a group of highly paid professional footballers react that way to conceding one goal. Now we can question the talent that's on the field overall, and we can understand that this is a project and that this club is still building. But to see a team essentially drop their shoulders and say, "This is it, we're done," and you knew what was going to happen. Yeah. You could sense it, you could see it, and that's really unfortunate, and it's really disappointing. And Jaap Stam has, frankly, a lot of work to do in that area.
How about you, Brian?
Well, two bests here is after that first goal, I was able to.
You have two bests? I'm
well,
shocked.
Yeah, because that is easy because after they scored the first goal, I knew when I could go get my beer because the game was over. Joking. My best for the match was Fernando Adi didn't score. Game over. That's cool with me, baby.
That's a win in my eyes.
I stole it from Michael. I see it.
No,
yes.
Right. Oh man, I was teeing up my 1A for best, so I can say that.
I'm sorry, my man. So Adi didn't score, so didn't get to see that satisfaction. Now Jesse doing his baby thing, I thought that was pretty cool. My worst is that, and Nijkamp actually talked about this. Loka is not. I just don't think he's the guy that's going to create much out of nothing. and we're still not finding a pathway to get him the ball. And I was hoping with Regaton up there and then having, some ball players with Kubo and De Jong behind, I was still hoping that we'd kind of get that next level. Just not there yet. Might take time, but that's my worst.
My best is the match was actually on here in Toledo. So there's a win, considering I couldn't watch the match a week ago. My worst is that I got to watch the match this weekend. So there's that. Of course, I'm kidding. Look, we are here to support the club. We say this somewhat jokingly, right, gents? There was an opportunity early on in the match that FC Cincinnati nearly went up 1-0. Who did the cross come for that Locadia nearly scored? Was that Regaton who crossed that ball over, or was it Jiao? Nobody knows what I'm talking about? Okay.
I remember that. I want to say it was Regaton.
Yeah.
It kind of pinballed around a bit.
Well, it didn't know. It just went through, and Locadia slid for it, and it just missed his foot.
Was that like 4 minutes into the game?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was Regaton.
Fortunately, I was putting the baby to bed then. Sorry.
Yeah. So, look, they're getting closer, I guess. I thought for the first 10 to 15, I felt like FC Cincinnati held their own. But again, look, the cream rises to the top, right? And we know the Crew are a better team. There's a reason why they're in first place in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they're a solid team.
Yeah, Michael might disagree with me on this, and he's probably a better person. But that whole match, even though we lost 3-0, I felt like it was. I didn't feel like the Crew were playing exceptional. I didn't think we were playing great, but I thought it was a closer match. And of course, you're playing the best team. A lot of teams are going to lose 3-0 to the Crew this year, but you had, of course, that first ball just squeaks through and finds Sanch, and then you had the amazing finish there by Jossie, and then of course the third ball was just a cluster bomb. But I mean, we had a couple momentary lapses. Is what Brad says, the margins are razor thin with this club, yet I still think that we're going to progress and be a much better team than that scoreline shows.
I'm so glad you kept it clean and called it a cluster bomb and not the other word, right?
I got kids, man. My wife's yelled at me too much for dropping F-bombs.
We are a family-friendly show here at CST. I mean, what else can you say, Mike? I mean, that was just. The first half, okay, you get into the halftime locker room, you're 0-0. I mean, you think at that point it's anyone's game, and then to concede like they did was just disheartening.
Well, that's the beauty of having a day to step back and take the emotions away from it, and there's still bewilderment, and we're back to this space of 3-0, but in a different way that feels different than Chicago. This game, FC Cincinnati were competitive in the first half, and you could see a changing point when it became less of Regaton supporting Locadia up top, and Regaton then dropping back, almost creating a 5-4-1. And FC Cincinnati started the second half pinned in their own box. And you saw it once Columbus started getting shots and getting inside the FCC box. I was really impressed with how guys were showing commitment. Deplan, he threw his body at a couple block shots, and you saw the back line bending but not breaking. And there was this feeling of resilience of, okay, hey, let's just get it to halftime and then we can breathe. And it felt like we didn't really get out of that defensive posture, and Columbus just kept putting the foot on the gas. And when you defend and you defend and you defend and there's no momentum shift, you eventually break, especially playing against the first place team in the East and a team that's firing all cylinders. And when you can bring Giassi Zardes on for Voldemort, aka we'll name him because we have to, because they played against him. But when you can bring a player like that on, he's a danger man for the Crew. And it just felt like this feeling of the legs went, the minds went, and then everything else went with it. So I do agree with you, Bri, that it felt competitive, and it felt like this chess match of almost like rooting for the prize fighter, of saying, come on, guys, let's do it. Let's stick in this game. We're waiting for our knockout punch. And then FCC got punched first, and it was, just life just went out from underneath everyone's legs, and you saw it in the deflections for goals and the lapses in concentration. And it'll do that to you. It'll suck the life out of you when you put in so much work to give up a goal. and then it becomes compounded.
So
I think
last
their
week,
margins are so thin, right? Because it's so hard for them. They can't find a goal, and so when you concede, you could just see there's a physical aspect to that too, but there's also the mental aspect. So I went on a little bit of a rant there earlier. I don't want to suggest that these guys just quit, but I think it's just they know how hard it is for them to find goals now. So when they concede, after they've been defending so hard, there's just they had nothing left there mentally or physically to give at that point, and that's all the opponent they feel like in their mind. That's all the opponent needs is one goal, and it's game, set, and match.
kind of feels like last year, right, Bri?
Well, he was talking about a prize fight. I always think about those Russian slapping videos where like the first slap was like when we got when Frankie got carded. The second slap was that first goal. You're like, okay, maybe we can hang in this still. And then the third slap was Jossie's goal. Just like, yeah, that was a pain in the ass. But I don't know. I think we'll get better. I'm not, the highs and the lows are lows, but I don't think it was as bad as what some of our fans are making out to be.
How so? I'd love to hear that.
I mean, so I don't think the sky's falling. Yes, there's issues, but I don't see anything that can't be remedied. Like last year we were just bottoming out. Like there was nothing to be hanging your hope on, or there's still a lot of things that can go right for us to turn this around. We still need to get Locadia clicking. We still have to get De Jong and Kubo's feet under them. The defense is getting better. Yes, there's a couple lapses. I still think that there's pieces here where we can still be in a spot to get into the playoffs. I mean, was it 10 teams make the playoffs? And we're sitting at 11th right now. I mean, on a normal year, 7th would be great, and I think we'd be disappointed being in 11th, but there's still a lot of things coming. Mocacho and Barrial are still coming. I don't expect a ton from Camo. I expect a lot more in Barrial in that second maybe support striker role, and then bring Regatin in for the last 30. There's pieces here that can make us a really solid team.
I agree with that. I think the arrival of new signings always bring new life to a roster and a team that's searching for that win and searching for just a change in fortunes. And Barrial is a player, and I was keen on hearing Gerard describe him and what he looks forward to him bringing to the table, because in MLS, pace kills, especially pace up top. And I hope with Barrial, if Yop can put him closer to Locadia and play as if you're playing with two true strikers. You see it with the likes of Philadelphia Union and other teams that have two attackers that are occupying two central defenders in some form. Defenders in MLS, it's a nightmare. Defenders of any level, it's a nightmare to have two attackers coming at you. But one pacey guy and one guy who can hold the ball up, I think this team is primed for a player like Barrial, especially from the highlights I saw. One thing that I would like to see more of is in these situations, especially when being on the road, we're starting to see this theme hopefully continues of resilience. And these guys have been saying it for the last couple of weeks of, okay, we took a sucker punch to the face times 3 against Columbus. How do we bounce back? But it's not just good enough now as we progress to the next phase of where the season's going to just bounce back and get a draw. We need a result. And defensively, when things are not going well and when everyone's wilting, who is going to be that presence that's going to stand up and say, hey, guys, come follow me? A guy that I was disappointed, and I'm going to be very professional about how I say it, was Kendall Waston. You are the man who everyone's looking forward. And I saw his body language. After every goal, it was, throwing his hands up. He's a very vocal guy, but that's not what you want to see from your leader. That is not what you want to see from your captain. Your captain is the guy that when everything is going wrong, when the building is burning, who do you turn to? You turn to that guy, and you turn to leaders on the team. And I'd like to see who are the leaders on this team that are going to step up and say, hey, we're almost there. Follow me, and we'll get to the finish line.
Interesting point, Michael. After watching those 3 goals, I remember seeing that. So yeah, that's something you definitely don't want to see from your captain. The biggest thing for me is, look, how many other teams in Major League Soccer have had to play arguably the best team in the whole league? Nobody else in the league has had to endure what FC Cincinnati has had to do. They've had to do it 3 times already, right? you can say, well, the Galaxy had to play LAFC, but I could say LAFC is not the same LAFC from a year ago, right? The Crew clearly are the cream of the crop in Major League Soccer right now, Jeff. And after this weekend, they go and they'll play New York City FC in Red Bull Arena. I'm curious to see what is going to happen. You know, we don't know who the opponents are going to be, but if it's going to continue to be regional, man, I'm sick and tired of seeing the freaking Crew.
Yeah, I think everybody is. Yeah, Don Garber said there would be some imbalances with the schedule. They were keeping it geographically centric because of the COVID impact. Obviously, I 100% get that. Totally understand the reasoning behind it. Pairing up teams that are close by so you can have a short bus ride. It just so happens that you have FC Cincinnati coming off last year in the very, very early stages of a project, a rebuilding project, if you will. And an hour and a half up the road, you have the best team in MLS. The thing about that too is it kind of goes both ways, right? Because Columbus has 23 points. 7 of those 23 have come from FC Cincinnati. Toronto FC, Philadelphia Union are right behind Columbus in the Eastern Conference standings, and they haven't had a chance to play FC Cincinnati yet. Not that I'm saying,
well, Toronto's schedule is even more wacky than ours. I mean,
right. Yeah. So yeah, really curious to see in this schedule. The new schedule should come out any day for those remaining 12 games. Really interesting to see how it shakes out for FC Cincinnati. I'm sure they're going to see Columbus at least once more. But I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. And I think that'll have as big an impact as any, because FC Cincinnati hasn't 5 clean sheets in 8 matches, and they've played a pretty difficult schedule. And Jaap Stam has mentioned that more than once.
Go ahead, Michael. You got another point to add here?
Yeah, this reminds me of playing in the famous 2-team NASL in 2017. Now, it's more than 2, but it reminds me of the NASL where it felt like every other Saturday you were hosting Jacksonville Armada for a barbecue in Miami. And we beat Jacksonville time and time again. And with that, it got harder every single time. And by, I'd say, the 3rd game, it wasn't, oh, wow, we've got Jacksonville Armada on the schedule. It was, oh, crap, they want to kill us. Yeah. And so, to Jeff's point, FC Cincinnati, my hope is, I think FC Cincinnati is going to start figuring it out and figure out ways to get up for the best team in the Eastern Conference. Because the more exposure you get to a team, the more you study and learn about them. And Columbus flipped the script. When Columbus came to Nippert, FC Cincinnati had the better of them. I mean, they kicked them all around the field and showed, hey, you're not going to mess with us. It's not going to be an easy game. And I think Caleb Porter, one of the things he did well was he played Voldemort and Fatai. And he switched up the lineup. He put Nagby as a 10. And that gave us fits because it was a dynamic player that we didn't have an answer for as the game went on. So as FC Cincinnati goes on and plays these teams again, it is an exam that you face again and again and again. We've all taken, well, most of us, hopefully we've all taken something that we're familiar with, the SATs. Usually when you take it again and again and you have time to study, like any exam, you do a little bit better. So I hope that bodes true and holds true for FC Cincinnati and not in the ways that Jacksonville Armada with us in Miami.
But that's just it, Michael, because I'm looking around the league, and Clifford in our chat brings up a great point. I mean, over the weekend, Vancouver beat Toronto. Vancouver, who's one of the worst teams in Major League Soccer, and they scored 3 goals. I mean, we're not even close to that, right? I mean, when you see the results around the league like that from teams who we think are on par with FC Cincinnati, I mean, where do you feel FCC stands?
Well, if we can get some of our set piece attack a little bit, I guess, more developed, I think that's going to help incrementally get us better. And then I just think time with these guys, you'll see productivity out of our $10 million man. I think his finishing needs to get a little bit better, and he's been quite a bit disappointment as your question on the interview earlier. But I mean, I think there's enough talent in this team that, should we play, Nashville, I think we're going to be able to pick up, 3 points in some matches and start getting up the table a little bit.
Man, at this point, I would just love to play Nashville because it'd be somebody different, right? Man. Well, we'll have somebody different this weekend with New York City FC. FC Cincinnati going to New York to take on do we call them the Blues? The Citizens? What do we call them?
The other visiting team, as they're going to be playing in Red Bull Arena.
Yeah, so that should be interesting. We hopefully will have a March to Match Day a little bit later on this week as Brad and Boston preview that match, and of course talking tactics with Coach Goff for your listening pleasure as well. That hour, man, I'll tell you what, that hour flew by, gents. So as we begin to wrap things up, I just want to remind everybody to head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support and get involved in the Growler Cup. I'll tell you what, it's really easy right now to make your predictions with the FCC. So make sure you get those in. CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support is where you can do that. We really do appreciate your support here. And of course, make sure you get subscribed so you don't miss a single episode of CST and any of our podcasts, whether it be March to Match Day and Talking Tactics. Yeah, I think that's all the stuff I've got for today. So we'll wrap things up. I will start with you, Bri. Bri, appreciate you being on the show. You got any final thoughts as we head out here on this Monday night?
I think it became more evident that after seeing the pieces that Columbus assembled last year to get the team into shape to win this year, that we're still playing with several pieces that, we're just kind of limping by with. And, that could be Garza, that could be, several players on our back line. So I think we're going to have some high moments. I think we're going to have some low moments, but the more we get Locadia, the more we get Kubo, De Jong, these high-end players around each other more, I think we should have progress. I mean, we kept hoping for progress last year and we never saw it, but I think Stam and a couple of these players deserve the benefit of the doubt. So I'm excited to see it. I'm not going to hold my hopes on Barreal or Macacho coming in because they're not going to be here in game fit and ready till maybe October 1st at the earliest. So if we get the guys who we have right now and get some familiarity, I think we'll be all right.
Appreciate you being on the show, Bri, as always. Love your efforts for CST, and again, hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, the professor, Jeff Wallner. I know you're a happy man. Your Blues the Toffees, I believe is what their nickname are.
Blues are fine. Yeah, Blues are appropriate.
But they've got their own transfers coming in. I bet you're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I likened Carlo Ancelotti to the Pied Piper earlier today. Guys want to play for him. He has a big impact on his players, and they're bringing in some quality talent. Alan from Napoli, James Rodriguez from Real Madrid.
Finally made a transfer. We've been waiting for it for years, and it finally happened.
Right. Tomorrow, I think Decore from Watford is going to sign on the dotted line. There's our rebuilt midfield. Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are licking their chops over that midfield. So we'll see. Everton always has a way of massaging your heart and then ripping it out by December. But we'll see. We'll see how everything happens. But today was a very exciting day for Toffee fans.
Well, I appreciate you being on the show as always, Jeff. I love your work, and again, hope you had a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.
All right, the pro, Michael LaHood. You got any final thoughts as we wrap up?
Yes, I do. I have just looking forward to the change in schedule in this game, with the unknown of what the next schedule is going to be. What a gift and what a reward really it would be to the players for the highs and lows that they've had to endure with COVID, with the Orlando tournament, with the results, highs and ties, to reward yourself with a win. Reward yourself for all the hard work you do, for all the resilience and character and all the things that they're undoing and changing from last year. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to change a culture that wasn't a winning culture. And it's not easy to deal with the lows, and as a fan base, the experience of lows of like, here we go again. And I don't think here we go again. I think here we not go again. I think change is real, just like hell felt very real in Columbus the other night. Well, change is also real. So I still believe in this team. There's lots of soccer still left to be played. And I just want these guys to reward themselves. Reward us as fans, but really reward yourselves. And I don't care how the ball gets over the line. You talk about growlers. I will go fill up a growler and neck that thing down. Whoever wants to do it, I will buy you Skyline. Just do whatever you have to do to get the ball over, the goal line and into the net. Reward yourself, guys.
Well, I appreciate you being on the show, Mike. As always, you're a good man.
Thank you. I hope I'm as good as our backline will be for Manchester United this year or better. So
I like it. I dig it, of course. My final thoughts. Hey, look, they're due, right? The orange and blue are due to finally score. I think the floodgates open this weekend, right? They're going to get away from town. They're going to be together. They're going to be in the Big Apple, and they're going to be playing New York City FC in not Yankee Stadium. It's going to be an actual soccer field. So they're due. Go out and score, because nobody's expecting you to do it. Just go out and score 4 goals and shut the world up, and we'll all be having some fun here in FCC land.
Loca has scored in that stadium.
That's true. That's a great point, Bri. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was like, what, 2019? Oh, no, that was 2020. Anyway, my thanks to FC Cincinnati General Manager Gerard Nijkamp for joining us this week. Really appreciate his time. I know he's a busy man, so thanks to him being on the show. Of course, my thanks to Michael LaHoo, Jeff Wallner, and Brian Weigel. I'm Subs, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we will see you all next week.